Hi guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be talking about my process of how I make my stickers that you guys often see on my Instagram or on my store or my stories. Now, I know a lot of people won't have access to the materials that I'm going to be using to make my stickers, so I will be going over in kind of like an alternative to not having a cutting machine, and maybe you want to make stickers just by hand by like drawing them by hand like traditionally rather than digitally, but I'll go over both methods, and then you guys can choose which one is more appropriate to your budget or what you have access to. So let's get started. Okay, so first I'm going to be talking about is paper material. So for my stickers that I usually use and put up on my store to sell, I usually order my sticker paper from onlinelabels.com. I find that these sticker paper is what suits my printers the best and like the method that I like to use, and it's a little bit more affordable than buying some sticker paper that I've seen, which when you try to buy stuff in bulk it's like super expensive, and I find these guys, if you buy in bulk, it's actually like decently priced. So this is the white glossy laser printer sticker paper. So I use this with my Color LaserJet Pro MFP M177FW. I'll put that on the screen so you guys know what printer I'm using. So this sticker paper is specially designed for laser printers. So if you have a inkjet printer or you want to find one that's suitable for you, they do have different kinds of paper that is specifically for different printers, so you guys can check out those. But this is the standard paper that I use for like the majority of my stickers. So these include my die cuts as well as my sticker sheets or kiss cut stickers. Another one that I found recently on their website is their clear vinyl or like their transparent sticker paper for laser printers, and I'm using these for more of my planner stickers, which are like these. So they come out like there's basically just clear, where white is usually on the stickers. So yeah, that's what I find most suitable for my sticker like paper. For alternatives for like more cheaper paper, if you guys are not going towards like the slightly more high-end stuff, they're not high-end, but they're definitely more higher quality. These ones are definitely more affordable. So there's the Avery brand. There's also one specifically made for the cutting machine, so there's Silhouette. So this is just a matte white label paper. And here is the one from Avery. I don't think I've opened this one, or maybe I have. So let me open it up for you guys, and so this is the Avery one. As you can see, there's these slits in the back so that you can easily peel off your labels. But this one's also a matte. So I'm going to be showing this at probably towards the end of the video, where I'm going to be drawing probably with alcohol markers or just sketching and showing you guys an alternative to make some either glossy stickers using these matte kind of sticker paper. So I'll see you guys when I talk about the Silhouette portrait. Okay, so this is my Silhouette portrait. As you guys can see, it's actually quite compact. It's not too big, but it's definitely not like super transportable or anything. So this is the machine that I use to cut out my stickers, and it's probably the, I guess, equipment that people ask about the most when I make stickers, because I often take clips of the machine cutting the stickers out and stuff. So Silhouette portrait I got for, I think, $199 Canadian, and that was my first kind of like larger purchase when I wanted to, like, I knew I wanted to do stickers for my store. So I like having the Silhouette portrait. It's just a lot easier for, I guess, like, it doesn't stress my hand out when I have to cut out stickers. It pretty much cuts like stickers out uniformly. Basically, it's like everything is consistent as long as you're like able to set your settings right. And I've been using the wrong settings for almost like a year and a half, and I've had this machine for about 2 years. So only a couple of months ago I found the correct settings for how I want to print my stickers and cut my stickers. So yeah, so basically let me see if I have any examples. The Silhouette Portrait comes with a design studio, like a Silhouette Studio, which is a program that allows you guys to set up your files and set up your cut lines. So basically, after you set up your file, it will also print out these registration marks, and that's what this little part down here, just like a little sensor, will read the registration marks and it will know exactly where to cut. So that's why I find this machine very helpful. There's some alternatives. I believe there's the Silhouette Cameo. I believe that's the second version of the Silhouette Portrait. I think there's a Silhouette Portrait or a Silhouette Cameo number 3 that's already out. There's also the Cry-Cut, which is also a very popular alternative. From what I remember, the difference between the Silhouette and the Cry-Cut mostly is that I believe the Cry-Cut doesn't come with a designing software with its machine. I believe the designing software is online and you do have to do that, like basically just online, set everything up, and then it will send it to the machine. So yeah, and it suits like all my needs that I need. So if you guys are looking into cutting fabric or thicker paper or vinyl or any of that stuff, like those cutting machines definitely do the job. Like this one will do it too, as long as you set the blade correctly. Also, one thing I forgot to mention is that sometimes, or I guess like I'm looking into right now mostly, is making my watercolor illustrations into stickers. So I'll show you guys how I scan my stuff to make sure that it's appropriate quality for printing and cutting. But as long as you scan at a high enough DPI and then don't shrink your design too much, like this one still has like quite a bit of detail in it. But it does lose a little bit of detail in the face, and this is about 1 inch from a drawing that's about, I think, 5 inches or 6 inches like in height. So yeah, let's just go into designing. So I'm going to change from this live camera view and then change to a desktop recording system so that you guys can see how I format and design my stickers. Okay, so hopefully I can sync up my camera audio to the screen recording so that there'll be less awkwardness. So first of all, I like to work in Paint Tool Site. This is my most preferred drawing program, as well as I use it to basically format most of my stickers if I'm not fully formatting it in Silhouette Studio. As you can see, I have Silhouette Studio also open at the bottom here because sometimes it takes a while for it to load up. It might be just my computer, but let's just get into designing. So I'm not gonna open this. Wait, one sec. I'm going to make a new file, and as you guys can see up here, I'm going to change it to approximately how I want the sticker size to be. So I'm going to put 2 inches by 2 inches. I might shrink it down, but I think 2 inches by 2 inches is going to be a decent size for mine. So I'm going to switch into time lapse. I'm going to quickly draw something out for you guys so that we can use a fresh new image to be formatted, and then we can begin with everything else like formatting and design. So be right back. Okay, so continuing on, I finished the design that I want to do for a sticker. So this little thank you Wonu sticker that I'm going to be putting on some of my orders now. Actually, let me show you guys what I would usually do to test how much space I would check. So after opening up Silhouette Studio, usually it would look like this as soon as it opens. Sometimes I hit open, sometimes I'll just go into design. So here is the, I guess, the map that you would see. So you would need to set your borders to make sure it's on Cameo 1 Portrait, and then you can set the borders right here depending on your printer. I like to go 0.562. I think that's what it is I usually set it to. Yeah, 0.562 is usually the standard size that I use on all my borders. This is to make sure that my printer does not cut off any of my registration marks, which is right here and right here and here. And then usually I would take a screenshot of this. I'm gonna open up a, let me see this first. Let's see. I think I have one, so I won't technically redo this. Here. So after you screenshot it, I would open up a A4 piece of canvas size and then stretch out the screenshot until it fits up literally the whole canvas size, so I can practically set up my files to make it as accurate as I want it to be. So I'm going to close this, and I'm closing my Gamer Wonder one. So I have this one, and what I'm going to do is put everything into one folder, hold Control and click on the folder icon. Now you can see it selected everything that is within this folder. Now I'm going to go, you guys can go selection and then expand, or I think in the other side version it's called increments, and I've set this to Q so that I can just count. Now I usually like to count to 15 or 16 times pressing the keys, because that gives me relatively the border size that I would want, which is 0.05 inches, I think, is how they have it in Silhouette Studio. I'll show you guys what I mean. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So this is approximately how I would usually have my cut line set to. That's how thick it is. But because these might be, if I do these for die cuts and they're a lot larger, I will make the increments usually larger. If not, then I'll make them probably this size. So if I know I'm going to be doing this, I would usually copy this whole thing, paste it into my page that I know I want to do the formatting, and then I can do as many as I want. Now, the reason why I do the increments is that if you put them all in one folder and you count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you can see that here they're not touching, so you know that you can put them closer together and maximize the amount of space you have on your page, which is what I like to do for sticker sheets. So I open up Honey's sticker sheet. You can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So as you can see, I tried to make sure that everything fits in and nothing is touching either the border or touching each other, so that the stickers can be cut out properly. Now, as you can see, there's going to be some parts that are not going to be completely filled in, but you can fix that in Silhouette Studio. Like, you can edit the points and stuff, so you don't really have to worry about that. Just worry about getting your formatting as close as possible. Now, because I'm doing a multiple design, I most likely won't be formatting this on pencil side. I'm just gonna go here and I'm gonna go to crop this as close as I can to the image. The thing I don't like about Silhouette Studio is it doesn't take PNGs very well if it has a transparent background. So I would recommend trying to crop this as close as you can first. You can fudge around with the eraser tool on Silhouette Studio, but just to make it easier for myself, I'm just going to leave it like this. I'm going to save it as a PNG. And then I'm going to open it up in Silhouette Studio. So go open, file open, and then look for your design. Now I've saved this. I might have saved this in the wrong place. Let's save it to sticker sets. Here, I'm gonna save it to sticker sets. it's easier for me to find. And then let's go down, and here he is. I'm gonna copy and paste him into my already made. Let's see. Now, usually I would use a mouse, so I'm gonna be using a mouse to format this. So I'm gonna zoom in, and as you can see, it shows me the size that I have it set to. So now 1.5 to 1.867. I might want to make them a little bit bigger. I'm gonna get my ruler and check this first, so I'll be right back. Okay, so one thing I like to do is I like to use a ruler and actually check what the size actually is. It's a little bit on the larger side, so I'm gonna shrink him down. You can shrink him down either now or a little bit later. I'm gonna shrink him now. I'm gonna shrink him to maybe, let's see, 1.5. Actually, I'm gonna make him closer to just 1.5, not 1.6. Don't make him about this size. I'm going to be using him for my thank you notes, so I don't want him to be too large. Now, right here, you're going to go to your trace tool, which is this little thing that has the butterfly and it's like yellow and green, or yellow and teal. Hit select trace area, and now you're going to be given to this tool that allows you to make these boxes. Now, as you can see, the yellow is where it's tracing. So what I've learned from other people's silhouette tutorials is that you unclick high pass filter, so now you can see it's selecting more, and change the threshold to any number in the high 90s. I like to go to around 94 or 95, and as you can see, it selects pretty much every color that I pretty much place that isn't white. So white's gonna be hard for you to pick up, so I recommend don't do anything white for the border. So that's why there's no point for me to put a white border around my stickers that isn't from Silhouette Studio. Hopefully that makes sense. I'm going to click Trace Outer Edge. So now you guys can see that there's this red line around my little Wanu drawing. I'm going to click on the red line. So the red lines in Silhouette Studio represents cut lines, so this is where the Silhouette machine is going to be cutting. So I'm going to select just the red line. Hopefully I can do this. Can't stop from selecting the red line. And then go up to here. So there's this little pentagon with the little outline around it. Click that, and that's your offset. Click offset first, and as you can see, it offset your cut line to be a lot larger. So if you're doing maybe washi tape samples, or you want to do something where you're cutting within, you would go to internal offset, and it goes the opposite. So it would be cutting in the inside, which is not what I want. So I'm going to hit offset. Now right here, this is what I was talking about, my 15 to 16 pixel increments I was doing in Paint Tool Sci. So 16 to 15 pixel increments is close to 0.05 inches, which is this. So this was as close as I could get with the mimicking it basically in Paint Tool Sci. So I'm going to click on the inside or the inside cut line and delete that. So now we have this cut line. Now you can edit the cut lines however you want. So by double clicking on the red line, you can get these little points and pretend I don't want this to be as dipped in. You can delete the point and you can make it a little bit smoother like that. I actually really like it how it is. I'm gonna make these little divots more round so that my cutting machine has an easier time cutting it. So things that I like to avoid for stickers, I don't like when points look like this. You can do this with this really like deep cut. I find it useless for a sticker to have something like that, so I like to smooth those kinds of things out. Luckily, my design's already very round and very, I guess, less detail in terms of the basic outline or trace area, so I'd have not very much to edit. Make sure to edit points that you think that would get caught if a person was to peel the sticker, or when it's cutting out, it would be hard to peel it in one go. So this is how I have it. So right here, if you just click and drag, you get this little like box selection tool, highlight both your image and your cut line, go down to the corner right here and group them together so that the cut line and the image move together. So a trick that I like to do is to make sure, or like if you want to duplicate your cut lines and your image, is to hold control and click any arrow key that you want it to go for, like to make a duplicate. So I'm going to make a little bit of space in between of these. I'm going to move these together. Actually, no. I'm trying to maximize the amount of space I have. You want to make sure that all your red lines as well are not touching this red line, which is where basically the machine can only cut is within this red line, this box area. Make sure that none of your image or your cut lines are within the area that is grayed out with the kind of the hatching, because your silhouette will have a hard time reading it because it needs this area to basically run its little sensor, I believe that's what it's using, to make sure that it can cut the registration lines like accurately. Now, looking at this, I'm thinking, actually maybe the cut lines are okay, so I'm just going to duplicate a few more. I'm going to probably fill up this whole page because I'm planning on making quite a few for my store orders. You can have cut lines touching each other. I prefer not to, just to make sure that they look as clean as possible. So this is what I was talking about when the transparency doesn't work as well. So if you were to save this as a PNG with a transparent background, you will have a weird gray outline around your image. So I like to make sure that you don't crop in basically as far as you can, and if you can, just send this to the back and see if you can still maximize the amount that you can get from this. So going side by side seems like the only option. Another thing you can do is use this square rectangle tool. Make sure it's filled in with a specific color. I have it set to blue before, or let's see. I'm gonna set it like this. I'm gonna fill in the color. Actually, not sure why. Let's see. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna take this one and I'm gonna send them to the front, put them on top, and I'm going to erase as close as I can. Let's see, these little white areas. So I'm first gonna stretch this out first so that we can have the full sticker on top. So I'm gonna grab one, put them on top, and then go to your eraser tool. I'm gonna select this square one and basically go as close as you can to the image. Now you should be able to delete this fairly easily, I believe, because I never had any issues with this method. Okay, I'm gonna grab one and pop them out. And I'm gonna grab the shape and delete it. So now this Wanu should be able to go in a little bit closer to the other design. So you can see I missed a bit here. You can just clean up a little bit and then bring it in closer. See if you can put it in properly. Now I can see that some of my cut lines are a little bit fudged. So I'm gonna ungroup him. Group his cut lines. I'm gonna grab this guy's cut lines. Ungroup it. Copy. Group them together. One sec. So it takes a bit of editing to get how you want your cut lines to be. And Silhouette Studio is not the easiest to learn with, I don't think, anyways. accurate. Too far up. Takes a lot of basically fudging around with the formatting until you get what you want. And that's just one part of it. I'm gonna group these guys together. And now you can see that this guy can fit into other spaces a little bit easier, so you can maximize the amount of space you have. Okay, I'm gonna format the rest of this page, and then I'll come back and talk about setting the blade and cut, I guess, preferences and paper preferences before we cut this. And this would be just if I wanted to do, I guess I'll do die cuts for these guys, but then I'll talk about the ones I would use for the kiss cut. Okay, so now that I have this kind of laid out, it's poorly laid out, but you guys can spend more time trying to make sure that everything, you can probably fit like probably 2 more of these guys on this page, but I'm just going to leave it as is because I don't need that many for now. So here you're going to go to this, so it's the second from the right. Let me click on this. So this is your cut setting. So I'm going to leave it on standard, and as you can see, everything right here is kind of faded, and you can see where the red lines are actually where the silhouette is going to cut. So there are some of them touching, which I don't mind as long as it doesn't screw it up. On the side right here, you can see that if you clicked on the paper preference, so if you click white sticker, I'm going to put the settings that I would use for each thing, like the name of it, up on the screen so you guys don't get confused which setting that I'm talking about. So right now I'm going to be talking about if you wanted to do kiss cut for these guys, which is what I would actually usually do for these kinds of stickers, like these labels and stuff, so it's easier for myself to peel and stick onto people's orders. So I would usually click on white sticker paper. So after you click on that, you get a little bit more settings down here, which you can see the speed is at 8, thickness is at 14, and if I'm doing kiss cut, I do not put on the double cut. And then on the machine itself, I'll set the blade to 2 or 3. Usually I set it to 3 so that it's just a good thickness for it to cut. Now I'm going to be showing you guys how I cut die cut, so I'm going to make sure that I'm going to go back to my my material type, and I'm going to click on, let's see where it is, clear sticker paper. After you click on clear sticker paper, roll back down, and as you can see, the speed is a lot slower, it's at 4, and the thickness is now set to 33. Now, double cut is already automatically selected, which is good because that's what I usually like to have it selected as. Now, the ratchet blade says it's set on to 3, so go to your machine and manually set that to 10. I set it to 10 just to make sure that it's completely cutting through the paper that I want it to cut through. So this is for die cut. So double cut just to make sure is that it cuts completely through, because before when I didn't set this to clear paper and I had this set to just white sticker paper from the Silhouette brand, and it had the speed of 8 and the thickness to 11 or something, or 16 or 14 or whatever number it was before I just saw, and I had it to double cut, I would have to run the paper in twice into my machine, which wasn't great. So make sure you set the paper type correctly so that you're cutting your material more efficiently. So I'm going to set that to the clear sticker paper, double cut selected. I'm going to go here, and as you can see, I'm just going to move my laptop into the other room so we can, I guess I can show you guys how the machine actually cuts. So I'll be right back. Okay, so hopefully you guys can still hear me. I just moved locations. I'm in my dad's office, which is also my kind of my studio space right now. So I'm gonna go into, before we print, or not print stuff, cut stuff out, we have to print it out. So I'm gonna file, print. So I have my sticker paper already loaded into my printer. Now usually I won't do anything like specific to actually change anything. Sometimes I change it to sticker, which is I've changed it to heavy gloss, normal. You guys can see the preferences if you guys want to, and sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't. I don't really see that much of a difference. I'm gonna hit print and my printer is going to print that stuff out. Okay, so here is the stickers printed on my white gloss paper from onlinelabels.com, and as you can see, here's the registration marks. Make sure to play around with your printer with normal printing paper to see what settings would work best for you, including like where the cut lines should, not cut lines, the registration marks should be. So for your silhouette portrait, it will come with a mat that looks like this. This is what you're going to be feeding into the machine itself. As you can see, I've used this like for a while now, and this is my third mat right now because I've been cutting for for such a while that the tackiness is just getting less and less. I'm going to be seeing if spray adhesive is going to be helpful to make this mat just last longer. So as you can see on this mat, there's this kind of an arrow. So this is the front part that you want to make sure the one with the square is at the top. So match this up with the lines that you can see on the mat, which is right here and right here. So I'm going to do that really quickly. Now the tackiness would be able to like let this paper stick on quite well. It's not as tacky anymore, you can see it lifting, but it's enough for me to still use it. So, okay, so just to make sure that your cut lines are gonna be really clean and it's like efficiently cutting, I'm gonna turn this knob over to here, take out the blade. So you can see there's numbers on the blade. Look for where the red little arrow is. So right now it's set between like around between 3 and 4. You're gonna stick it into the slot and turn it. Because I want to do die cut, I like to turn it to 10, which makes pretty much the blade more exposed. Hopefully you guys can see the blade right there. Stick it back in and then lock it in place. Now we're gonna be feeding the paper into your silhouette portrait, and then we're gonna hit I guess send the silhouette portrait on the machine. Okay, so I'm gonna take my mat, first turn on the silhouette first. I'm gonna take my mat and line it up with the wheels. Now sometimes this is gonna take a few tries to make sure that the sensor will be able to read this black part. You're gonna hit the button that shows with the mat arrow for it like pointing inwards. Click that and it'll start to take in the mat. Okay, so I'm gonna plug in the silhouette to my laptop first. Now make sure that your silhouette has enough room behind it so that the mat can cleanly run through, and there's enough room in front of it so that the mat can just kind of like basically slide in and out from the machine. So on silhouette, you're gonna hit start as long as you made sure that your cut lines, your preferences, your paper settings are all ready. So you hit start, and this is gonna be really loud, so I'm probably gonna mute this after a while. So yeah, it's gonna start cutting, and then I'm gonna zoom in to show you guys what the actual cutting looks like as close as I can. It's gonna be doing a double cut, so it's gonna take a little bit of time for it to cut. So I'm gonna hit start. As you can see, it's going to be quite loud soon, but it's registering the lines. You can read it quite properly. The last registration mark. Now hopefully this cut will cut accurately. It's not a well lit area, so I don't know if this is going to cut super accurate. And you can hear it's cutting. Okay, I'm going to zoom in, so So after it finished cutting and it sent it back out, if your mat's not as tacky and you're deciding to cut some die cut stickers, sometimes they're gonna get caught by the machine, so be careful of that. I just wanted to include that because usually I'll have something propped up so that the mat will lay flat so they won't get caught on the cutter, but I wanted to show you guys that so that you guys make sure that your mat's pretty much still tacky. So as you guys can see is that they did cut out completely and they look really cute, and they're actually fairly consistent. Near the bottom the cut lines got a little bit wonky, so some of them have thinner borders than others, but you can just adjust that on your machine or make the white a little bit larger. So you can see that the border on this one is a little bit too close and it's shifted down a bit, but for me it's not that much of an issue because I'm going to be using these not to sell. If I'm selling them, I'll have to make sure that the border is a little bit wider so there's a little bit more room for error, but usually I don't have problems with that too much. So that was the settings for die cut. So you basically can just repeat this process for as many files as you want on different files. Make sure to change the blade beforehand and change your settings for each one to make sure that you're doing kiss cut or die cut. So yeah, I'm going to be showing you guys the alternative version to this where actually I'm going to talk about first making stickers out of your traditional made art. So as you guys can see, this one's actually made from my watercolor. I'm gonna move this out of the way first. This must be distracting. So this little guy is actually made from my watercolor piece. So I'm gonna grab them so you guys can see the actual to the printed version. So this guy's like, I think 7 inches tall almost, maybe 6 inches maybe, 6 inches, and this is the tiny version of him. So as you can see, when scanning your images, make sure you scan at 300 dpi at least to make sure that your picture is pretty much at HD basically for printing, so that all your little details are caught on the scan. And then when you're sizing it down, make sure that the quality still remains the same. I adjust the colors a little bit so they're a little bit more accurate to the representation here. As you can see, it's a little bit more yellowy green rather than the warmer color here. I don't really mind that. I could adjust it in Photoshop or adjust it in Sci a little bit to make sure that the matching of the colors is more accurate. But you can definitely make stickers from your traditional medium. Just make sure you have a good scanner so you can scan it to be high quality so that your prints or your stickers don't lose quality when you print it. So because I'm using laser printer, a little bit of quality is going to be lost because laser printer is not meant to be printing pretty much stuff in like that's super detailed. I would recommend like inkjet printers to do that, but I don't use inkjet because I prefer my stickers to be pretty much waterproof, or not waterproof, water resistant. So yeah, okay, so I'm going to be talking about some ways you guys can make stickers using some cheaper materials. So okay, so I just finished drawing 2 little things on the Avery sticker paper. So this is the Avery brand, and as well as I printed 2 of the same stickers that I was using onto the sticker paper as well and printed it out. And I'm going to be showing you guys how you guys can just cut and make your own sticker by hand. So I'm going to be using some packing tape just to make these guys look a little bit glossy. So using packing tape, I like using this to make stickers only because it's really clear. You can cover like a big surface. Hopefully, I don't know if 2 will fit on this. I probably have to use 2, which is kind of sad. I would like to make sure that the sticker would fit into one piece of like a packing tape, which I think this little whale will be able to fit under one. So make sure you got a little bit of dust under there. Lay it down as flat as you can with a burnisher or any kind of hard object. with a smooth side, like maybe the back of your scissors, a pen that is smooth on one side, or a kitchen knife or something. Smooth it out so there's no air bubbles and that everything is tight. I'm gonna quickly do the other ones first. I'm probably have to double layer for June's. It's ideal. I personally don't like having the seam run through the sticker, but because my tape isn't big enough, we're gonna have to do this. Not only that, this packing tape has something weird on it. Stick that down.
I'm trying to align this as best as possible. There's no gap, but you guys can probably do it better than I can. I'm gonna take off the excess and put it away a little bit. Cut that off. There we go. Okay. One of the lines.
After you have your stickers covered with the tape, so this one doesn't have tape on it, these ones do. I'm gonna cut them out vaguely so they're not adhered to one paper.
Make sure you're using sharp knives. I'm not, so I'm getting slightly fuzzy edge on it. You can use like an X-Acto knife or any kind of a blade tool to cut these out if you want to be a little bit more precise. And if you have experience doing so, then I would recommend using that if you have the extra time. If not, cutting it with scissors just takes a little bit of patience and a little bit of time to make sure you cut it as accurately as you can. So, here are the stickers. Now I'm going to cut really close and kind of leave a little border like how stickers usually have it. So I'm just going to start with June and yeah, I'm going to do this off screen and then come back.
Okay, so I don't know exactly where I left off because it's actually the next day, but I did cut them out. And as you guys can see, this is the one without the packing tape on it, and then this is the one with packing tape. You can see how glossy he looks. There's a little line right there because the packing tape's not large enough. But if you do have a sticker design that's smaller than your packing tape, then you can get it like pretty much just full on glossy. So you can definitely just peel off the backing. And the Avery does come with this like slit at the back, so you don't have to have a hard time peeling it, because I know some people have a hard time peeling like die cuts because there's like no edge for you to really peel off. So the only thing that I'd say about these is that I do think that you should try to get either packing tape that's large enough or just make your sticker small enough that you can fit it onto the packing tape. Obviously you don't have to use packing tape. I just find it makes it a little bit more sturdier. They come out a little bit glossy, like not kind of glossy, they are glossy when they come out after, so I think it just looks a bit cuter. The downside about this is that cutting is just a pain in the butt. Some people might enjoy the process of just like cutting your stickers and stuff, or you know, just taking the time to neatly cut them out. But if you want consistency, it's gonna be hard. So as you can see, there's like obviously parts of it are off. It's somewhat close. You can probably cut like as well as print off where you want your cut lines to be with like a really faint color and a really thin line, so you can get it a little bit more accurate. But to save you trouble, as you can see here, is that if you use like a cutting machine, if you can afford it, obviously I'm not just saying like, oh, you should guys go buy the cutting machine because it's just like totally worth it or whatever. but it does have like a good consistency. So if you're printing like multiples and you want to make sure like people are not getting, I guess, like different versions of a sticker, or you want a little bit less error, I definitely think the silhouette portrait will do the job. As you can see, all of these are pretty much just all lined up correctly. They're all the same size. The downside is that there is some gonna be like technological errors, I guess, or like things you might not be able to fix. So like at the end of my cutting, I couldn't tell that my sensor, I guess, was slightly off, and it was cutting closer to the left side compared to the right side, while some of them are just completely centered like this one, so you guys can see the difference. But overall, I do like using the silhouette, and I was able to pay back the amount of money I spent on buying paper and buying the silhouette portrait. But I feel like that's just like, that's a decision that you should decide whether or not you think that buying a machine to do your cutting is worth it. If you're starting out, cutting out your own stickers is totally fine. Just make a set, I guess, quantity for yourself, and maybe sell like them in batches so that you don't have to worry about like maybe too many people ordering your stuff and then you don't have enough time, or injuring your wrist or your hands by cutting stuff. So I do believe you should set a limit, usually because I have my silhouette and I usually keep enough stock of my sticker paper. I have my stickers set to pretty much unlimited on my store so that I can just print on demand. That's why I like to print and cut my stickers on my own rather than going to like another company to do so. It's just because I can pretty much just cut and sell what I need rather than having to pay a specific amount, and then if they don't all sell, then I have to make sure that at least broke even, because if I don't, then I'm just losing money, which isn't great, because then I can't continue to make new stuff. So yeah, just think about what would work best for you, which one's a little bit more cost effective. And I hope that you guys find this video a bit helpful, and hopefully that this video isn't too terrible for you guys to understand what I'm talking about, because I'm terrible at explaining. But thank you guys so much for watching, and if you have any more suggestions on what kind of a video you would like to see next, I'm going to try my best to finish that sketchbook soon. I only have a few pages left, but I haven't been sketching in my sketchbook after my store relaunched. So hopefully I'll get back into doing that. But yeah, let me know if you like to see more watercolor paintings of chibis or
illustrations, or want to see some digital stuff. You like to see, I would like to try more vlog style stuff, but my day is so repetitive that I don't think people would want to watch it. And I only have like set times that I could probably vlog, because I like to vlog when I'm alone. Not vlog when I'm alone. I like to film when I'm alone. But yeah, do let me know what you guys would like to see. I'm kind of open to majority of things so far. As long as I'm capable of it and I have enough time. But
yeah, thank you guys so much for your support, and thank you very much to the people who did recently order from my shop relaunch. I really do appreciate the support, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!